Hey, welcome back to the HOT6 Cup. We are getting started here with an interview as usual. These are our 4 players. This is a sick group. Of course, Flash, the big fan favorite, Classic, the SKT Titan of a Protoss, Sulky, now teamless, and Sky High. But looks like we're going to hear from Classic first here in this little quick interview. You seem like you're really in good shape recently. How do you feel? I'm actually having a lot of hard times against Terran players. And I also lost to Terran at BlizzCon. And after I came back from BlizzCon, I've been preparing really well. And he thinks he can make it to the next round. So compared to Group B, how do you feel about your group? Everybody thinks the same, he says. And he says compared to other groups, he actually thinks his group's pretty easy. And when he looks at his opponents to his right, especially Sulky in blue right next to him. So he picked you as an easy opponent. What do you think about what he said? Well, I actually think the same thing he does about him. For me, Classic's the easy opponent.
예, 저 오랜만에 올라온 조병세 선수 좀 무섭지 않나요?
좀 무서워요. 그 정보가 없다 보니까 제가 좀
So he's basically saying like if he beats Classic, it's gonna be easy.
그래요.
조병세 선수 근황이 궁금하네요.
근황이 궁금해. 어떻게 지내셨는지.
What do you think about
본 적이
Sky High?
없어가지고 너무 궁금해요.
I don't really know much about him. I haven't played very much against him.
열심히 하고 있었고요.
He might be pretty tough for that reason.
나가면서 많이 떨어지고 있었어요. 그래서 겨우 하나
So how have you been,
올라와서
Sky High?
연말에 뭐 하나 해보려고 지금.
He's been playing in a lot of qualifiers because everybody able to get
이정훈
through.
선수가 거의 한 2년 만에 올라와서
But he's of course playing really hard.
이정훈 선수의 활약이 어느 정도 좀 힘이 됐나요?
Did you see how well Marine King played? Even though he hasn't had recent results, he made it this time.
다들 테란 사기라고 해서 더 부담이 많이 되는 것 같아요. 지금 다른 테란 분들도
A lot of people were saying that Terran is overpowered.
이정훈 선수가 잘하니까 더 부담되는 것 같아요.
아, 그러면 좀 자신 있는 종족전은요? 올해 멤버를 봤을 때?
자신 있는 종족전이요?
He said he's just listening to what other people are saying about that.
아, 야, 조병세 오랜만에 올라와서
He actually feels
넘칩니다. 그럼 오늘 팬분들 오랜만에
really similar about
기다리셨던
what sort of opponents he meets. Like he doesn't really care who he hits. Say some words to your fans. They've been waiting for your matches for a really long time.
어렵게 올라갈 것 같아요. 어떻게든 올라가 보도록 노력하겠습니다.
All of his matches are going to be hard, he thinks, but he's going to try his hardest to advance today. So please cheer for me. Last, but certainly not least, the ultimate weapon, God of RTS,
최근에 테란 분위기 어떻게 생각하세요?
Flash.
전 진짜 별로 좋다고
Terrans are looking really strong these days. How do you feel about that?
경기에서 다들 잘하고 있어서
I never think Terran's OP.
근데 저는 개인적으로
But recently a lot of Terran players are getting a lot of good results.
쉽진 않은데 그래도
It seems like Terran's OP from the outside.
그럼 옆에 힘이
But he actually doesn't agree. That's not really his opinion.
선수에게 김민철이 이게 비빌 언덕이 될 수 있을지 어떻게 생각하세요?
저 개인적으로 민철이 형 되게
So looking at Sulky as an opponent, how do you feel about him?
되게 SK 가서
Personally, I think Sulky's a great Zerg player.
무시를 많이 당하더라고요. 그래서 좀 저도 개인적으로 당황스러운데 저는 만날 때마다 좀 많이 진 기억이 있어서 방심하면 안 될 것 같아요.
When he was in SKT,
그 옆에 있는 김도우 선수는요?
he didn't actually have that many good results compared to when he was on Moonjin Stars, his
주위에서
old
도우 형
team.
스타일을 물어보면 잘 못한대요. 근데 좀 배제도 많이 하고 이렇다 하는데 저는 개인적으로
When I asked other players, when I asked other players like, tell me about Classic's playstyle, they all said, he's not that good actually.
그래서 오늘 방심할 수 없는 한 게임이 될 것 같아요.
김도우 선수
He's not going to let his guard down, and he's just going to continue to focus on his matches. Doesn't matter who he's facing, he's still going to be focused and prepared. He's not going to take things too easy.
제가 이번에 인기 투표.
So there are so many fans out there cheering for you. Say some words to your fans. He's asked.
그래서 저는 그렇게 올라온 만큼 더 높은 곳까지.
Thank you so much for voting for me. he says to the fans, because that's why he's here. So in return to the fans, he's going to try his best to make it to the next round. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for Group C here in the HOT6 Cup for 2014. I am Wolf, and as always, I'm joined by Moonblade.
Hey, man. Good to be here once again. And yeah, we have a sick group today, starting with Classic versus Flash. You know, the biggest match of today, arguably.
Yeah.
I quite think it could be.
Yeah, I think...
We'll have to wait and see where Sulky is at and where Sky High is at. We haven't seen him in a long time.
Sure. Now, looking at names alone, you might be thinking, well, I'd love to see Flash versus Sulky. Maybe that could be the highlight match. But Sulky just hasn't looked very on point as of late. He's been a bit off.
He has been, indeed. It has been a long time, actually, since we've seen Sulky, play pretty well, actually, since he left SKT. So, yeah, it's going to be some really interesting matches today. It's going to tell a lot about what's going to happen.
Yeah, certainly will. And, I mean, I'm really curious to see how Sky High is going to do. This guy is a very, very famous player from Starcraft 1. He's been on CJ for a long time, one of the most faithful players, sticking around very, very long, longer than even players like Effort, for example. He's been here true and true, staying with CJ and Starcraft 2 for a long time, despite the fact that he's never really produced any results, never really come out in Pro League. He's been one of those underdog players, one of those B-teamers, just always in the background, and now he's got a chance to prove himself today.
He does indeed. Yeah, it has been a long time. You know, I can't even imagine, I can't actually think of a Sky High game. Not in StarCraft 2. It's actually been that long.
Yeah, I really can't either. I think I saw some of his games in the qualifiers, you know, like physically standing behind him at the Code qualifiers, watching him play. I know he's played in a lot of qualifiers online as well, but he never really quite makes it to the big stage.
No, not at all, actually, yeah. But, I mean, I guess we could start off by talking about Classic versus Flash. We have seen both players actually have a bit of trouble in their matchups of recent times.
Right.
Classic in BlizzCon, Flash at Home Story Cup very, very recently. I mean, he must have only came back from Europe 1 or 2 days ago as well.
Yeah, just like TY, just getting back very recently, so he's got a little bit of travel he's going to have to deal with here. He's going to have to get himself focused, and really curious to see how well he's going to perform. He looks confident, and I think with how well he's been doing overall in general these days in his televised match that we've been able to see, I think he's one of the favorites to get out of the group as well.
Yeah, I absolutely think so.
One of the other questions I think that doesn't really stick out as much as Sulky and Sky High is how well today is Classic going to play? But before we talk a little bit more about that, let's take a look at these players that we've got in the round of 8 already. We saw out of Group A, Marine King took first place of the 4-0, and then second place we had Innovation. So 2 Terran players getting into the round of 8. Marine King will face Rain, who took second place yesterday, and SOS will join Innovation at the bottom of that bracket there as he got first in Group B yesterday. So we've got 2 TVPs to start things off in the round of 8.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Shaping up to be a really interesting round of 8. Really excited to see what Marine King can do against Rain after what he did against those Protoxes in his group.
And the Sue Marine King match is not to be, as Sue did not advance. Fell out of his group in last place, 0-4.
Indeed, and I mean, today is the last chance for Zergs to do well in this tournament. Sulky, the only other Zerg in the tournament. Sue getting eliminated yesterday, very underwhelmingly, actually.
Yeah.
So hopefully Sulky can bring something, but he has been teamless for a while. We haven't seen much of him in a while. These players are kind of thinking that he's going to be a bit of an easy ride. But I mean, players yesterday also thought TY was going to be pretty easy after his Home Story Cup performance, and that went horribly wrong for them. I mean, TY coming out in first place. So, I mean, anything can happen, I think. Pretty much anything can happen this tournament. We've seen it already with Marine King.
Exactly. TY, a great performance yesterday. And let's take a look at these players briefly. We talked about them already. Classic, kind of the shadow of some of his teammates, but a GSL champion. Flash needs no introduction. If you don't know about this guy, do some research. He's one of the most famous players of all time. He's a Michael Jordan of StarCraft. Sky High, unknown, dark horse, Brood War hero, very good at StarCraft 1, but StarCraft 2 hasn't done anything yet.
Hasn't done anything.
And then, of course, Sulky, teamless. Everybody's wondering, is he out of his slump yet?
Yeah, but definitely one of the, I'd have to say, top 3 Zergs in Korea and the world. He is a very accomplished player. But here we go. Here is Classic from SKT.
Yep, Classic going back to blonde with his hair here. Now, of course, he won GSL in Season 2, actually defeating his teammate, Sue, yes.
Yeah. I don't know if that means anything anymore, considering how often we've seen Sue get second place.
Right. He also got, of course, 4th in the BlizzCon finals and got 4th place in the Kespa Cup. So some pretty impressive results this year. I feel like his Pro League results are underrated as well, but this guy has always been, I feel, the shadow of his teammates' successes and never has gotten the recognition he deserved.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the, I guess, one of those Protosses that no one really thinks about when they think of the top Protosses of career.
Right.
But he's up there. I mean, he's beaten some of the best Protosses. He's beaten Zest, he's beaten Euro. He's done a lot of work before.
Well, Flash here, as you can see, not having the most GSL successes, only making it to the round of 16 in Season 3. Did, of course, win IEM Toronto, and had a pretty nice performance there at Home Story Cup. Not able to clinch it, but very close.
It went all 7 games. It was so close, such a great series. And I mean, that's 7 games that Classic can look at and study as well.
Yep, I was up watching that the whole night now. It was a sick tournament.
It was a great tournament indeed. And first map going to be Overgrowth.
Yeah, pretty straight up map, 2-player map. Nothing weird about this map. No real race favoritism.
Yeah.
On this one, going into set number 1.
Yeah, it should be a nice way to set the pace of this best of 3 here. Both players, I think, like to play for the late game here, so we could see a very lengthy macro match. We'll have to wait and see. I hope we do get to see that though, because that's where their strengths lie.
Sure.
No shenanigans on the first game, please.
Right, I would like to see just to put that macro game on the table, test these two against each other, their styles against each other. By the way, it looks like this KT thing that Flash is wearing, this uniform, has become the standard. It's not just TY trying to be stylish. I really like it.
No, it looks great.
All right, game number 1, Classic versus Flash here, Group C, the HOT6 Cup. One of SKT's greatest Protosses, one of the best in the world.
SK Telecom T1 Classic.
A GSL champion.
Indeed he is. And a WCS BlizzCon finalist.
Absolutely. Collected quite a lot of those WCS points.
Oh yeah.
Up to the top right in red. The ultimate weapon.
KT roster Flash.
Good.
Top voted fan favorite. That's how he was seeded into this tournament.
No surprise there, I gotta say.
And honestly, well voted, well deserved.
Yeah, no, he's done very, very well as of recent, very, very recently at Home Story Cup. But you know what? He did show 7 of his games against Protoss in the highest level. So I mean, we'll have to wait and see how Classic's going to react to that, because he has so much information to work with.
He certainly does.
And I mean, at the same time, Flash has a lot of information to work with. He did have 2 best of 5s against Terrans at WCS finals. So that's a lot of games from both players pretty recently that could really kind of give away their style in the matchup.
Yeah, for sure. Now, in this series, just looking at these two players mentality-wise, I feel like Classic is a type of player who often gets nervous when he gets behind, or if he gets cheesed, or if something goes wrong for him. He seems to get really frustrated very easily. You can see that a lot in his play, and you can also see it just in his face. Flash is the opposite. Nothing really shakes him. He doesn't really ever lose his cool. So that's something to consider going into this. Maybe Flash tries to do something to throw him off a little bit, get into his head.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, it is going to be a standard Reaper opening to start things off, though.
Yeah, so far, totally normal, and an eBay block.
Very nice. Hopefully we don't see the same sort of mistake from Classic as we saw from Hero yesterday, where he cancelled the Zealot after scouting the engineering bay in a bit of autopilot mode there, which ended up costing him the series.
Yeah, that was a rough game.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Scouts will not cancel that Zealot.
Will not. That'd be so funny if he did. But no, that's not going to happen.
That's going to make defending this eBay block a lot easier.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see that down at the bottom in Korean, just Flash sharing his disappointment with how his results were this year in the GSL. Is basically what he's saying down there, but he of course wants to make up for that with his HOT6 Cup performance.
He should be feeling pretty happy about himself in Pro League at the very least, though. I mean, he did get MVP of the Grand Finals, and his team ended up winning, so not all lost, but I guess individual leagues, he hasn't had the best results.
Exactly. Now, you know, this Reaper is kind of annoying. It's going to actually protect the eBay temporarily as well. And now going to come in for a scout as the units are a bit away. They're a bit occupied with that eBay. So that's one of the reasons why this block is so nice. Comes in here. He's going to do a little bit of harassment.
Pulls the probes as well. Just giving it a little bit of time for the Stalker to come out.
There's that eBay cancel during all of this, during all that Reaper micro. He wasn't able to, of course, see the pylon a bit too early for that. So he doesn't know, if there's any hidden pylons on the map. But it's just going to be a straight-up robo, actually.
Straight-up robo. So pretty standard game from Classic so far. Standard tech, nothing, not going to try for any Stargates or anything. No blink.
But as we saw yesterday, sometimes this can lead to an Immortal push. This does happen very rarely, but you can never count it out.
It can. It could lead to, it could lead to a lot of things. Could lead to a very early Colossi. We have seen Classic go for kind of a 2-base Colossus timings before. We've seen him go for Colossi drops before.
Yeah, his former teammate Parting used to do that Colossus style all the time too. And, we'll just have to wait and see if he drops a Forge. He drops a Forge pretty soon here, we'll know what's up. But until then, you have to wait.
Have to wait and see here.
It's in a really nice spot too. It's very unlikely to be scanned. That robo. And there's a fast bay.
There's that really fast bay.
You're on the money, man. It's a super quick Colossus build.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very, very convinced that Flash is going to just be playing for the macro game here. Going to go up to just a pretty kind of set up his war machine, as I like to say. And he might go for a Marine timing, but I mean, it's going to be pretty standard on this map. He'll be ready for it with the Mothership core.
Well, look at how quickly Classic is taking these gases as well. He even started them before the Nexus was finished. That's how quick he got them.
Yeah.
The Reaper is going to see that third gas, and that's really important information, but he still doesn't know what sort of tech he's up against.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's the good thing about this map as well. It's very hard to get those really, really good Reaper scouts on after the early game because there's no backdoor into the base.
Yeah. I want to point out that Flash has 3 depots in his main base to spot any Warp Prisms or any Oracles that can come in from any different angle. There's no way that Class is going to get into his base without him knowing about it.
Bit of a supply block there, just for a few seconds. Yeah, and very, very fast Colossi. I wonder how many we're going to see out here, and I wonder if it actually is going to be a 2-base. We're going to have to wait and see if more gates are going to be added anytime soon, because that'll give away just about everything else.
Gotta watch that very closely. And this is scary for Flash because when you see that third gas like that, it could just be double. There could be double Forges in the main for all he knows. He really just doesn't know without a better scout, which he can't get yet.
Yeah.
Range is on the way now. Pro production still ongoing, but it could be cut at any moment to add those gates like you were talking about. Observer's going to come in here, just get a little bit of extra information. Wants to see, where the tech is at. Are there any Vikings out yet? Of course, where's his starport? Does he have any medevacs out yet? Just all these little tiny timings.
I mean, he sees it just finished, but I for sure Flash will not be committing to anything but medivacs for at least 4 medivacs.
Yeah, of course.
And this could be trouble for Flash. I mean, no third CC or anything like that yet. No too much of a commitment to Greed, but we do see SCV moving to the third base now to put down that CC. So he is going to be playing that greedy macro game, and I think Classic may have chosen the correct strategy for this map.
Yeah, it looks like he's ready to just go ahead and move out there and pressure a little bit. Well, let's see. He wants to clear that watchtower first, that's for sure. Yeah. Is it poising to take a third?
He could take a third. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad thing.
But 6 gates, I don't know, man. I don't think he's going to take it. I think he's just faking it.
Yeah.
He wants Flash to see that probe.
I think so. I think this is definitely going to be that 2-base all in here. But Flash, he's going to start the pressure. He doesn't want to give away this Colossi too early because it does mean that Flash will react.
I don't think he saw that, but the watchtower sees this, that's for sure. Now he moves off. Immediately, this Reaper's going to come in here and scout all the gates as well as do some harassment. Double bunker immediately back at home, and he starts Viking production as soon as that starport can.
Very early Viking production. Oh, what a surround on the Reaper. That is God tier right there.
Stalker, man. He's like overqualified, apparently.
Yeah.
Here come the attacks. Or rather, the attack.
He doesn't have
a 4 pylon up just yet, but he's got that probe ready. He's got 1 pylon at the gold base, so he can warp in from there. He doesn't have a very forward location to actually reinforce from.
Yeah, we don't see him committing too much. I think he will be poking, and I actually think we're going to see a third Nexus go down at this point.
I agree. I think he comes up here just to see if Flash is playing too greedy.
2 Forges.
Yep. And there's the Nexus.
Twilight. Yeah, so he's gonna transition from this, but he has not checked the third base yet, and there's a third CC building there. He could cancel that.
Yeah, if he only went over there. I think what he wanted to do is come up here, see if Flash is being too greedy, and then, of course, if there's an opportunity to go for an attack, otherwise just kind of contain him, force those SCVs off the line. But not knowing about that third base is just so painful to watch, right? Because he could just do so much there had he only known.
It's too late now. There's no way he's going to kill that. There's no way he's going to cancel that. I mean, Flash is in a perfect position now because he reacted in time, and he's got his third base up. simply because Classic didn't check for it.
And he's going to be ahead in upgrades. He already has the +1. He's getting the armor. The 1-1 is only now started for Classic. He's, of course, putting Chrono Boost on that for good reason, as he needs to catch that up. He knows he's behind in upgrades. He spent so much of his gas on those rushed Colossi. And now he's going to use those gateways to actually get gateway units out to help protect his third.
Yeah, he's got to be Flash still got to be careful.
Oh God, those force fields!
Okay.
Those are basically perfect.
They were absolutely perfect here, and great time ops as well. I mean, we see one Colossi go down, but there's simply not enough Vikings. The Vikings are getting evaporated at this point.
Well, the second Colossus may fall here because he, barely survives. He only had a few sentries there. Now he's got the Stalkers they warped in. But as the Observer just highlighted, somewhat panickedly, there's no bunkers anymore. He salvaged them.
Gets rid of that turret. He has a great staging position here. More Stalkers coming in, and I mean, Flash simply does not have anything after losing just about all his bio to that attack.
That Mothership core is very low, and he's going to want to drop some forces if he's got any left here. Still, those Colossi are doing exactly what they need to do. Kill those SCVs. Too much damage on the ground. I think Flash is about to roll over and die here, Moonglade. There's way too much damage. Stalker's doing way too much damage to those armored units, and Colossi at the back well protected here. 4 Vikings at a time coming out, but there's no mining here. The SCV count's down to 30 now. He's got to lift this base. And more Zealots running up the map.
Yeah, what a great follow-up from Classic. I mean, he saw the opportunity and he capitalized on it. We see a pylon at the front door of the Natural. And this is a great, great follow-up. I mean, this third base is empty, and he's still getting those 1-1 upgrades. Almost finished here. He simply just took huge advantage of that the positioning at the Watchtower.
You know, this is just, that Watchtower and those force fields were really game changers. Those force fields allowed him to just crush the army. And yeah, he loses the Colossus here, but his Gateway army alone is enough to force another lift. He can force field the ramp. If he tries to use the medevacs to land down here, he's going to be making a mistake.
Yeah, even if Flash, beats this off, sends them back, which I don't think he can at this point, he is behind 50 supply, so simply no way of coming back from here.
Yeah, there's just certainly not. Even the move of just sending 2 Zealots to the third base is all you need to do.
Wow, very unexpected there.
That was a lightning fast decision-making choice, though, by Classic that let him have this massive lead. He was like, okay, I see this. I've got an opportunity. He saw blood in the water. He grabbed those force fields. Sick decision-making right there.
Yeah, it was just perfect force fields, essentially, what guaranteed him that win. Guaranteed him the push on his Natural, and Flash, just not being careful enough moving out onto the map.
Yeah. Didn't respect his army enough. Classic's army, that is to say. And that third base that he had was nice, but it never really paid off. By the time he got SCVs over there, he was in more trouble than he could have realized.
Yeah, if we saw Flash, drop at the same time while he was moving out, maybe he would have been doing a lot more damage back in Classic's base.
Yeah.
Because the whole army was at the Watchtower there in the middle of the map. So I mean, yeah, and also if Flash kind of just stayed at home, took advantage of his really fast third base, might have had a much better game.
Could have had a different world in that game, too, if Flash didn't salvage his bunkers. Had he kept the bunkers, maybe he could have held on a little bit, somehow stabilized a little bit with that third base economy, and maybe push the army back, save his third. It's hard to say, but we're going into game 2 now on Flash's map choice. Merry-Go-Round, what do you think about this map pick?
Much better map for Flash, that's for sure. A good advantage for him. Very, very open map, as we've talked about in the past. Very hard for Protoss to get that third base safely, and there's a great opportunity for Flash to be doing multitasking, lots of drops, huge airspace behind the mains.
You like this map better than Nimbus for Flash here?
I think it might be a preference.
Yeah, because, we didn't see really any drop play in that game. Maybe he just likes to keep it on the ground a little bit heavier.
Yeah,
Merry-Go-Round's a map for that.
But, at the same time, I'm sure Classic will be going for some sort of aggressive style here on 2 base. We'll have to wait and see.
We will indeed, Moonglade. It's time for game 2 for Group C, Classic versus Flash. Top right in blue for SKT. He is
SK Telecom T1 Classic.
Good position here for Flash.
That is very true.
He'll have a direct path into the main base of Classic if he decides to do dropping.
His opponent from a rival team, the ultimate weapon.
KT Roaster Flash.
These two teams rivals for years.
Yeah. It would have to be the biggest rivalry, I would have to say, amongst all the telecoms or whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, they are the telecoms, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you're from the States, AT&T versus Verizon or something like that. I don't know what the telecom companies are in Australia. I won't try, but...
Optus versus Telstra.
Sure. I know in Europe they've got like Orange and not sure what else. But this is going to be a really fun one to watch because I want to see how Flash utilizes drop play. I'd like to see him try to. It looks like he's going to go for an early CC here this time.
It does indeed. And this should be a very interesting, and I really, really like that Classic is scouting so early on here. Looking for cheese, looking to see what kind of build Flash will be going for. And I mean, scouting a CC first really early on is going to really help out on what Classic wants to do in this game.
Yeah, it's great. You can even harass the builder as well.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for Classic that he's not going straight to the natural of Flash, but he'll still, he'll still be able to harass it with the probe. Definitely get there in time. We saw a very standard sort of one-gate opening from Classic as well.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have to change up his style. I mean,
nope, definitely not.
He's up a game. He's pretty in a comfortable position here. He knows he's at a disadvantage on this map.
Yeah, and what's going to happen when he gets the CC first is he's probably just going to maybe even cut gas mining for a brief moment to get that next up faster. He's definitely going to know that he can cancel that Zealot if he gets there fast enough. Well, he'll cancel it anyways because he'll see no eBay block, but he can cancel it early.
Whoa,
ooh, he's actually looking like he wants to proxy maybe because he's not even sending it. He knows that's all he needs to know is where his opponent is. That's his plan here.
And we've seen this exact same position. I believe it was Flash versus Parting at Home Story. I saw Parting put a Stargate down there.
And we saw SOS do this yesterday too in about the exact same position.
Yeah, this is the place to do it, apparently.
Although it looks like he may be having second thoughts.
Maybe he's thinking it's going to be a Reaper opening and he wanted to avoid the Reaper, so he's going in now instead of a little bit earlier.
Yeah, definitely some consideration going into that, though. That's a pretty good proxy spot, so you may have still been considering.
He can still go back there.
Yeah, okay, now he sees a CC first, and let's see if he goes right back to that spot. He could alternatively go right to the north here at that mineral patch in the middle of the map as well.
Yeah. Well,
sky's the limit, really.
Sky is the limit.
It's going to be a triple barracks opening for Flash following this up. Gets that third one down.
And there it is. So it should most definitely be a Stargate.
Yeah. No way you'd want to proxy DTs over here.
No, that would be pretty awkward, actually.
Yeah.
So a very he saw the scout of the Nexus here, but afraid of the mothership, so he will not be going in any further. And once again, a nice sort of macro-oriented.
Oh, a Robo!
Oh,
did not expect that.
All right, I want to see a Colossi drop.
It crossed my mind, the Robo proxy, but I was like, no, I won't say this. People on the internet will be like,
I'm going to say this.
That's viable.
I'm going to say this because we know Classic has done this in the past, specifically on Nimbus.
Yeah.
This is not Nimbus, I agree. But, I mean, it would make a lot of sense as well. Unless we're going to see some sort of a Immortal in, perhaps.
You know what I'm thinking, actually, is a Sentry drop. He's got a Sentry queued up right now. He could make more. Maybe he does a Force Field, traps those units at the natural, and then does a Warp-in in the main base.
Maybe.
That's what I think he could be doing here.
All right, well, let's wait and see.
Warp-Gate research is also still a ways away, so Warping in Sentries is going to be a bit off here. Could also be an Immortal bust. We really just don't know. Wait till that Robo finishes. Okay, Immortal.
Okay, Immortal it is. I like this as well. This is the only other option I feel like he could have done from this position.
Yeah. Besides, you know, the Colossus drop. Who knows?
Yeah, I think Colossus drop would be the coolest. But
definitely the coolest, man.
Definitely the coolest, but I mean, there's no pocket natural where you can kind of abuse it.
Yeah.
Like on Nimbus, so it makes a lot of sense that you do something else here.
Just waiting for that Disruptor drop next year.
Oh, I am not looking forward to that.
Stim is on the way. Second Immortal, showing further his commitment here, as well as all Chrono Energy being focused on this. This Scout, oh, if he lets it get into the main, that is huge. I can't believe he didn't see that.
That is really awkward.
He just clicked past it.
No probes.
Oh, that was a clutch force field.
He sees no probes building on the Nexus at the natural here. That gives away a lot.
Yeah, he starts a second bunker immediately. This is still breakable, though.
Very breakable. He still thinks it's going to be Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, definitely. He's absolutely considering the possibility with that bunker in the main, and he's making a ton of Immortals, which are not going to be as good against these, or rather, excuse me, a ton of Marauders, which are not going to be as good against these Immortals.
Yeah.
Should they get caught outside a bunker.
I think we'll see some very, very quick Widow Mine production once the factory's finished, and we do, as well as the, Starport.
He's going to want to warp in mostly Stalkers here, so he can burst those bunkers down. The Stalkers do that bonus damage to buildings.
Yeah, he can definitely afford a few more.
All right, Mothership Core teasing here. All right, here comes that first Scout. And he's actually warping in Zealots instead of Stalkers.
He needs some buffer for these Immortals. Immortals should do enough damage to take down these bunkers.
Needs those force fields as well, and here they go, 1-2. Targets down that first bunker, it will fall. And now the SCVs are free game here. Second bunker, a bit too tough to break through now with those reinforcements from the main coming down.
Oh, very, very important kill there. Gets the Widow Mine. He had to get that, or this push would have been so much harder.
Yep, he's got an Observer on the way. Imagine if that was another Immortal to join, though. All right, targeting down SCVs this time first. He wants to get that bunker down. Meanwhile, Flash does have another bunker queued here, and he's doing a great job so far of holding, but that Time Warp is going to make this so much harder to engage.
Beautiful control there. Beautiful Time Warps. Can't trade too much with this, though. He's losing everything.
Zealots are so important here. They're tanking the critical damage while the Immortals do that damage to the Marauders at the back here. He needs more warpins, though. He's got to be spinning that chrono on those gateways back at home to get that out. He's got another Mortal queued up here as well. And Flash is holding on. He's down 4 Harvesters, but he has double mules. He's got Medivacs out now, too.
Yeah, and he also has Stim, which is the biggest thing of all here. It's going to make this push a lot harder. And I mean, we only have 1 Sentry, so he cannot do much with that. It's either going to be 1 Force Field or he can save for a Guardian Shield. And that's a bunker, and that's a lot of bio. I don't see Classic breaking this at all.
I don't either, but he seems to think he's going to try for it because he's still not producing probes.
That's all he can do at this point, Wolf. He has to break it now, or the game is essentially over.
Okay, 4 bunkers. Never underestimate that power. I mean, 4 Immortals. God, I'm getting super excited here. 4 bunkers is a lot of power, but 4 Immortals versus 1 bunker, man. Here we go. Guardian Shield goes up, and he targets that bunker down. It falls so fast, but there's so much bio up there left over after the bunker did all the tanking that I think Flash should be able to stave this off with Stim, with Medivacs, with SCVs coming down. But, yeah, it looks like he's just barely going to get it.
He's got it.
It was a close one, but
very close. Nice all in there on this kind of map. I mean, he has to take a chance here. He's up a game. Might as well try.
If you look at the supplies, you think, well, they're even, and he lost a lot of SCVs, but it's not going to matter because there's no tech here for Classic. Combat shields are done now, for Pete's sake. He's got so many units, he's going to kill the last of these gateway units, and Classic will likely GG from here.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No chance left. Great kiting. GG.
Flash bringing it back, tying it up.
Yep, looking very, very solid. Solid defense there. I think the biggest thing was scouting with that SCV, just seeing the Nexus, had no probe in production.
Yeah,
if he gives away everything. And I mean, the fact that he had to force field the ramps, like, whoa, what are you hiding from me?
Yeah, and if he had just paid attention a little bit faster on that SCV, because he clicked those units to move literally half a second before the SCV came in. Had he just been a little bit more on top of that and killed that SCV, Flash would have been completely in the dark. Maybe he still makes the bunker anyways, but, you know, you're much more likely to make it when suddenly your opponent force fields the ramp and you see no probes in production. That's very suspicious.
It's extremely, very, very extreme, yeah. Well, I wonder what the third match is going to be, Wolf. What do you think it's going to be? Maybe King Sejong Station,
yeah,
that's my guess.
I'm thinking Sejong. It feels like a really flexible map for Protosses right now. Deadwing is also a good choice.
Not a bad choice either. Very, very big map.
Yeah, big map, good for late game.
Very easy to defend 4 bases compared to a lot of other maps. And yeah, it definitely makes for more of a macro game where we know Classic likes to be. Same time, we know Flash also likes to be there as well.
Yeah. Well, I want to say this could still go either way. A lot of this is going to come down to positions. Are they going to spawn vertically or are they going to spawn across? It's a very, very tense series right now. Classic playing one straight-up game, playing one aggressive game. And Flash just doing his thing.
He's just doing his thing, man. He just has to macro. It's all he wants to do.
That's all he ever wants to do.
And he does it so well. But yeah, I agree. The positioning is going to be essential. And here we go. Absolutely.
Game 3, the one that decides it all. Who's going to winner's match? Will it be Classic or will it be Flash? To the top left in red.
SK Telecom T1 Classic.
Cross spawn.
Cross spawn.
I give the advantage to Classic.
Absolutely on his map pick. That's why that first map is so important to take. And down here to the bottom right in teal for the rival team, KT Rolster, he is.
KT Roster Flash.
Has been playing against Protoss a lot recently, losing to Parting 3-4 at the Home Story Cup Grand Finals. Showing some really good games. I do believe, I think TVP actually might be his worst matchup. I'm trying to think of it statistically.
I actually, just as a feeling of watching a lot of his games, I feel personally it is his worst matchup. That's the feeling that I get when I watch his play. I feel he seems the weakest. Something to consider, actually, a little bit of a stat that we hadn't brought up. In StarCraft 2, in televised offline matches, these two have never met before.
Oh yeah,
as far as I know. So this is the first time they ever play each other in StarCraft 2. So considering that these two are on two top-tier teams and they play in every Pro League match generally that their teams play, it's crazy they haven't met each other yet.
Yeah.
It's insane, actually.
Nexus first here for Classic.
Yeah.
Playing the map to its strengths, and I think he's going to be pretty thankful for it. Though it is going to be a Reaper opening from Flash as well, so Flash might be able to find something from this.
That's what I love about this matchup, how balanced it turns out to be, is just the safe build with the Reaper. The safe build in many matchups when your opponent plays greedy hurts you, but the safe build in this matchup gives you a little bit of potential for damage as well. It's really cool, because the Reaper can get in there, get some probe kills, mess up the mining a little bit to catch up, make up for that late CC.
Yeah, but I mean, also another thing to consider is the map is so big, so it's going to take a while for the Reaper to get there. Yeah. And might just give Classic enough time to get out Stalker, get out the Mothership.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be cutting it close, getting across cross spawn on this one.
Well, I guess the Reaper is definitely going to do at least some damage. He should be getting like, I feel like he could get at least a couple of probes.
I feel like 2 would be nice. Let's see what he can get done.
2 would be nice, 3 would be a bit better. 4 would be maybe some mistakes from Classic here. Making a Zealot nice and early here because he knows he wants to get ready for this this Reaper. He has run into the Reaper in the middle of the map here, so Reaper will be dealing with this probe.
Oh, look at that probe buying some extra time.
Yeah, I like that.
Very nicely done using that line of sight blocker. Flash going to go ahead and drop down his second barracks now. We'll see if he goes up to 3.
He should.
Yeah,
eventually, anyway.
Yeah, that Reaper comes in here. Zealot is ready. And the probe is pulled away. That
Sacrificial Zealot, essentially. He's going to get a couple of hits off. Nicely done there. Reaper can just kite forever, though. It looks like he wants to go for the probes, though. We will see that Mothership core get chronoed out. And maybe we won't actually see a probe go down.
Yeah, the Zealot is essentially just a tank here. Oh, look at this micro from Classic. It's actually incredible. Does get that one. Now he's going to pull that Zealot back, but there is a probe down there, I believe. Okay, it hasn't spawned yet. It's about to, though. And the probe essentially just going to buy time for that Stalker as well. And there's the Mothership core spawned as well. Probe gets away, and only 1 kill. Not the most ideal, but he scouts what's going on.
Yeah, he scouts what's going on, and not much of a lead there for Classic despite going Nexus first, because, I mean, we see the CC first, or CC is finished for Flash at this point, while he was harassing with that Reaper, so...
Yeah, he's going to have double mules soon.
It's pretty even economy.
Ooh, the double hop going to cost that Reaper 30 hit points there. Can recover those, but he's not coming in there back up that path for a while.
And we see an early Forge. Okay. So we will see most likely going to be an early armor, unless we see some sort of aggression from Classic, which I would not count out.
Yeah, well, after what we saw from him in Game 1 and in Game 2, he seems to be pretty aggressive today in general. I would expect the armor, though, as well. Only time will tell. Flash splitting up his units just to be safe against any sort of oracles because he couldn't get that Reaper in there to double check. And there's the armor for safety.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. So no tech choices just yet for Classic. So we don't know exactly how he's going to go with it. There we go, Robo Facility. So yeah, very standard sort of macro game opening for Classic, and not a surprise at all.
No, not even a little bit. This is the map he picked. He got cross spawns. He can be very happy with that.
Cross spawns, Nexus first. Yeah, he's in a pretty comfy position.
This is the dream opening, if you will, on this map for Pros versus Terran.
Maybe the bigger dream would be if Flash went CC first as well, so we didn't have to deal with the Reaper, so we could just power even harder, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose that could be another way to look at it.
Maybe. Then we're just nitpicking.
Yeah, we're getting really technical here.
It's a little too much.
But he's setting up a bit of a Sim City here around his bases. Notice his placement is actually really good. He's always been good at this. The Bay is going to come up here as well, just working along with that pylon. He's going to get a supporting pylon there too. And notice his pylon's giving a lot of coverage to the top of the base, because even though you'd expect drops to come from the south, there's still a lot of dead airspace back there to the north that drops could come from. So he's got a really nice area of vision up there.
I mean, there's so much drop space, airspace behind the main So yeah, drop potential is there, but I mean this map is so big, getting there in a decent timing anytime soon, it just takes so long.
Yeah. Medevac's going to be started here for Flash. It's on point with his upgrades. Of course, a little bit behind a Protoss in upgrades because of that early Forge and Chrono Boost, but at a decent place. You know, not where he, not where he doesn't want to be. He's not like going to be massively behind. And the question becomes, what does Flash do from here? Does he decide to continue a lot of aggression and try to do enough damage to do an SCV pull? Probably not on this map, right? Probably wants to take a faster third like we see finally from him doing now.
Yeah, yeah.
And just pressure into a normal mid-game.
It looks like that's exactly what he's going to bank on. We did see him do a 2-base SCV pull against Parting, actually, at Home Story, so maybe didn't want to do that, because it was the same map. Instead,
Yeah,
going for more macro style. And yeah, going to go for a timing with +1, plus stim, +2 medivacs here, while he gets that third base up. I don't know if he can do much. Looking at what Classic has right now, I mean, 6 Zealots, 3 Stalkers, 2 Sentries. Colossi on the way, but not just yet here.
If he commits to this, I think it would be a mistake.
Depends how many, well, once he's got his medivacs, he can just simply pick up.
Going into the main would be sick, because that means the units have to walk so far to go back and defend.
Yeah, and that's actually enough. I think that's enough units there to kind of do a lot of damage to the next guy as well.
He can, because he has to split his units so thinly here in order to defend.
Gets out of there, but here comes the medivacs into the main base here. 2 of them. This could actually be a lot of damage.
Classic on his way back, but like I said, he's got to go that really far distance. I think he might be able to get another pylon here. He's going to go for the core, and immediately Classic restarts that. There's the Nexus Cannon. Might try to grab a Colossus here.
He wants it.
Gets a Stalker, might get 2. He will get 2.
Oh, he can get the Colossi. Forces out the Time Warp here.
Oh, a bit too greedy trying to get that Colossus, but saves most of his units and does get a few Stalkers, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, I actually think Classic might be a little too spread out here. A little too greedy on this third base. Simply not enough army. That was only a few Stalkers, and there's barely any air left.
All right, running in now. And needs to use some force fields here. And you can see Flash is a bit timid because he knows those force fields are coming. 2 get dropped here. Third one does kill one more Marine there. Now he's headed for the main base again. Those Medivacs boosters are on cooldown, or off cooldown. Now running in here, 4 Medivacs full of units this time. Think he could get a pylon or 2, maybe that assimilator. He's going to go right for the Nexus. Don't think he can get that. Gets a few probes, goes for a Colossus or 2. Very low.
Ooh, but yeah, just a little too much damage there with 2 Colossi. Same time, he can trade pretty efficiently with these Stalkers.
Yeah, he certainly can. The Zealots, of course, would be great to fight, but they can't fight on the high ground versus those low ground ranged units. He has to pull probes off the line, and this drop isn't done yet. Keeping the pressure on.
Yeah, this is looking very good for Flash. I mean, while this is all happening, he's saturated his third base. He's upgrading, he's getting medivacs. His production is in full form.
He's got 2 Widow Mines with this, too. He could even lift those up. They're on the low ground, giving some extra support.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
This is
and
pretty tight, man.
Trading with the almost dead Colossi at this point as well.
And that Observer! I think it's just on the edge there.
Just out of range.
Can't even see it, man. I couldn't even see the blur there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't have flash eyes, I guess. Now we're going to head to the natural, the first place he hasn't targeted yet. He could actually get that bay. It's pretty exposed, maybe, if he just turns around.
He could drop on those 3 Stalkers, but it doesn't look like he wants to commit to that. Kind of getting zoned out at this point.
He's spread so thin. This allows Flash to get so much going up at home. That third base is
so
fully
comfy.
saturated. He's got a worker lead. The only thing that he's really missing is that armory is a bit late, so he's missing those upgrades, and that's going to hurt him.
He definitely has the money for it at this point, but he does have a nice supply lead, you know. Nice, comfy supply lead. He's applying a lot of pressure, completely contained. His Classic. No pylons on the map either, which is something to consider. No Zealot counterattacks are going to be happening anytime soon here.
Yeah.
He needs to get like a War Prism out in the map or something so he can kind of
agree.
relieve some pressure.
Because there's no Vikings here either, so I mean the Warp Prism could do wonders for him. This is a Doom drop that we're seeing here. That's actually so many Medivacs rolling in.
Oh, that is so many here. And he actually has enough bio to actually deal with this one Colossi as well.
And he comes from behind as well! Flash just bringing his whole army into the main base here. Widowmine's going up on these spawning Zealots, and Classic might be worn too thin now. I think he might be about to lose a Nexus. Let's see how much bio's left under there. There's more Medivacs here than there are Marauders, but that's still a large force. This Colossus is a long way from home. Looks like he's just going to be able to pick off a few more probes and then get out, but he is massively ahead in economy now. and he still has a medevac count that's insane, so he can focus only on producing Vikings now. He doesn't have to worry about that medevac production, and he continues the harassment here at the natural.
Well, I mean, he just simply keeps resetting the Colossi count as well. I actually don't know if there's any left. I mean, there might be one Colossus left at this point.
Yeah, I think 1 or 2.
He might want to transition into Templar. He has a few already, and he's warping in some more.
He's got Storm already as well.
Yeah.
So, Ghost Academy, very warranted here. It's almost done. 6 high Templar. That's up to 12 Storms he could have very soon. Another drop coming in here. Flash really making the drops work on this map. Really liking this. And even taking a 4th base now. And that's going to put him even more ahead in economy. Classic has never even been able to cross the midline of this map with all the pressure that Flash has been putting on. He loves his heavy medevac counts too, doesn't he?
Yeah, I honestly think, I feel like kind of if Classic went for more of a Blink style, this style that Flash is doing would not be relevant right now. But the last Colossi actually gets sniped by Bio here while this is still happening. A drop in the main base, killing so many probes. 13 have died already.
Yep, finally gets cleaned up. Not the best fight for Flash there. He did eat a lot of Storm damage, but the first few Ghosts are on the way. And with 2-2 finishing for him, he's actually going to even up the upgrades, as +2 will finish for Classic around the same time, actually maybe a little bit behind, depending on how he chronos. Worker count still insanely good for Flash, but keep in mind, I want to point this out. Flash's army is actually kind of weak in a lot of ways because he has so many medevacs. They don't do damage. They're eating up a lot of his supply, and his worker count is quite high. So just keep that in mind as we approach max. Keep an eye on his medevac count because he's making even 4 more right now.
Yeah,
I think he's going up to like 15 medevacs right now.
We'll eventually find out when we get the Unis tab up. But he is making 5 Ghosts at this time as well. He's only got 7 medevacs, so he has been losing a few.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Okay. Totally warranted.
And finally, we're seeing some counterattacking from Classic to kind of relieve the pressure that he's been taking for so long.
Storm going down here. There's so many medevacs to heal,
damage.
though.
Yeah.
And the Zealots will be cleaned up.
And I mean, look at this. Look at exactly what's happening. He's just starting to apply pressure with Zealots, and these drops are falling apart because Flash is distracted.
Yep. Not getting any more damage on that 3rd base. Amazingly, though, Flash has been able to secure a 4th base, while Classic is still just making his Nexus right now.
Yeah.
And that is insane. The economy, look at, he's got twice the mineral income right now, plus the mules, of course, to consider, but look at that. 2,000 per minute coming in. This isn't even an orbital yet. He might even make it into planetary. It's something to consider.
But I think, yeah, well, the longer this goes on, I mean, it's going to be 4 base for Classic as well. He has the tech. He needs to start making more Colossi now that Flash is very aware that there are a lot of Templar on the map. Flash going heavy into Ghost, now starting some Viking production as well.
The Colossi didn't have range this whole time. Keep that in mind.
Oh my god. I didn't even realize
I didn't realize either.
That is a huge mistake as well.
I just assumed he got it. Well, as you can see, this is when Flash's macro at work.
It is. That's the war machine in full form.
Personal cloaking for Ghost coming out here as well. He's got 12 of them. That's a lot of EMPs and a lot of snipes. 12 Ghosts to 12 High Templar. It's going to be that old TVT Western shootout, man. Can you get the snipe versus the feedback or the EMP?
It's all positioning at this point. Flash knows exactly where Classic's army is thanks to the factory.
Yeah, he doesn't want to pull a TY from yesterday. End up taking a bad fight just because he assumes the army's one place when it's not.
Yeah.
And here comes those macro mules, adding 3 orbitals right now.
Going to deal with that 5th base as well.
Yeah, and snipes are so key going into this. Let's see what he gets.
That is a lot of Ghosts. And it looks like Flash is going to turn around here simply because War Prism, I think it might have actually blown up from something. We didn't get a good look at it. But harassing that 5th base here.
Storm's going down, but still just not enough damage. Flash needs to split and get ready here. EMPs on everything important, even hitting those Immortals. And all of the Archons fade to nothing. And that is going to be the fastest TVP fight we have ever seen.
Wow.
Flash is going to take it. He blanketed that army with EMPs.
He did indeed. There was simply nothing he could do. No Storms. All the Templar are at the back.
He erased the Archons, man. He pressed Control-A, delete, man. That was what just happened. Now he can just ride the Storms and not even care. Push his way through that 4th base. More Zealots being warped in here. Blink, an upgrade he wishes he had all game. Isn't going to finish, it looks like, before he has to type out here. He's down to 75 supply. Flash takes it. GG!
Very, very solid macro game from Flash. And great harassment, great pressure. And it was really up to Classic's build order. really up to Classic not having any pylons on the map, no Warp Prism on the map to kind of try and relieve that stress.
Yeah.
He just couldn't make anything happen, and Flash ended up just taking it.
He took all the right fights as well. He always avoided Classic's army until he was 100% sure he could fight it with 12 goes, so many EMPs and snipes. The Viking count was on point as well, and his defense of the Warp Prism harass was really, really strong. That was what Classic really needed to get himself back into the game, but the defense was just too much for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So very nice games there, and I'm kind of excited for the next matchups we got coming up.
Yeah, me too, man. Sulky versus Sky High.
Oh, I can't wait to see how these players, what their form is. I think that's the biggest question of all.
Right,
From
exactly.
actually both of them as well, because like we haven't seen much of Sulky, and we've like never seen from Sky High. Like we've never seen from him, I don't think.
Yeah, not in Starcraft 2.
Not
only
in Starcraft 2.
only kind of like watching behind him in qualifiers and whatnot. That's all I've been able to see.
Yeah, so it's going to be very exciting. We did see Sky High. I guess we can talk about the matchup more when we're getting up to it, but
Yeah, well, I mean, he got through as well as Sulky. Before we get into that awesome match, though, we're going to have a quick commercial break. We'll see you guys